This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good morning, Tuscaloosa. Good morning, Tuscaloosa, Internet world. West Alabama, how we doing today on a Tuesday? It's the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com. Hope you and yours are doing well. You're watching us on the Bama Central YouTube channel, on the Bama Central Facebook page. You're listening to us on Apple Podcast, Amazon, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can find the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. We appreciate everybody who has subscribed, rated, reviewed the show. Send the show to your friends. A lot of y'all are doing that as we get into 2026 football season. We are here. Brought to you by Derek Daniel State Farm Insurance, brought to you by Purple Turtle Roofing. Check them out at roofturtle.com or call Derek Daniel at 205-758-3391 for all your insurance needs. It can take care of he can take care of your home, your life, your auto insurance. We appreciate Derek Daniel for sponsoring the program and Purple Turtle Roofing for sponsoring us as well. We are here with our friend Theo Fernandez. Make sure you follow him at Theo Fernandez _, covering all things Alabama athletics at BamaCentral.com. We're going to have a great time today, Theo, talking winners and losers of fall camp. We talked about Hunter DeCiver's article yesterday where he had his own winners and losers. We've got some winners and losers that we've put together. There's some offensive line discussion that still needs to be had after Aaron Taylor had a pretty nice, pretty complimentary video. So talking about Alabama's offensive line, we'll play that and react to that. We'll talk about the running back room, everything that Ryan Grubb had to say, where the quarterback competition stands, and much, much more. Make sure you follow Theo Fernandez at Theo Fernandez _. Good morning, Theo. How we doing, sir?
I'm great, Joe. I'm really, really refreshed from yesterday, having gotten to go out and see a practice. You forget about how cool it actually is to get to be there just on the field watching those guys go at it. So that always just a great experience, and I'm ready to go. I'm clear-headed. I'm just excited for the build up to this season.
Clear eyes, you're ready to go. You ready? You already kicked off week number 3 of fall camp. You've got this week and next week of fall camp, and then the boys will be full on in game week. As you have settled in your heart over the last 24 hours after being at practice, do you find yourself moved in any way? Do you find yourself going, okay, maybe I need to reconsider this, or maybe what I saw yesterday makes me think about that? Did yesterday's practice kind of recalibrate you to this Alabama football program?
No, not really at all. I'm still very much in the same position I've been at, which for any new listeners is I believe this will be, as boring as the answer is, the 10-2, 9-3, right on the fringe. Do you get in? Do you drop a dumb game and get kept out? I think this team is really good, Joe. I do. I think there's a lot to be excited about, and I think there are some flaws that are going to hold this team back from reaching its full potential. And I think so much of it is literally just going to come down to avoiding that FSU, that Vandy, Oklahoma, the losses you've had those last 2 years. Take care of business and you're going to the playoff is basically where I'm at.
We will see what happens this year. It gets started in just over 3 weeks when Alabama takes on East Carolina. All right, so we're in the middle of fall camp. We're in the thoroughfares. It gets to be look, if you've participated in a fall camp before, whether it be high school or college, you realize it halfway through, you're kind of in the, doldrums. You're lost in fall camp just a little bit. The guys are going to have the second scrimmage on Thursday, and that's going to be a huge, really important day for them to show what they've got, to show how they can grow from last week's scrimmage to this week's scrimmage, kind of implement the things that the coaches really emphasized over the weekend and this week install and such. Theo, before we get into winners and losers, I just have one piece of Ryan Grubb's press conference yesterday I want to open up with. And if there's other parts of Ryan Grubb's press conference you want to talk about, please jump out and feel free. But Ryan Grubb yesterday said, we have installed our gap scheme. It is all installed now. So now 3 weeks into fall camp, plus spring practice, you have installed the gap scheme for your running game. So Coach Grubb basically came out yesterday and spit out all the propaganda. We're close with the offensive line. We've installed all the gap scheme. Best 2 days of practice we've had as a whole, but best 2 days of practice in the run blocking department as well. Are significant. Do you find it interesting that Alabama, the run package is in? Because a week or two ago, he said, we are simplifying. We're not installing as many concepts. We're simplifying. We're only focusing on the things that we're good at. And now I guess all that's installed. So this Thursday scrimmage, the running back's going to be running wild.
So what are we at? 17 days to the start of the season right now, I believe is our number. I think this is pretty significant because you have all this time to you're not trying to set anything. You're just executing what you have established. I agree with you, Joe. I think this is pretty big, especially when the biggest theme on the offensive line last year was inconsistency. It was guys being shifted around left and right, nobody really knowing seemingly what was going on. Here you're at a point where you've got basically your 5 set, right? And Ryan Grubb kind of basically confirmed that left guard is really the only battle still going on at this point. And it doesn't, to me, seem like much of a battle. I do believe it will be Mal Waldrop. If it is William Sanders, that's a guy who will plug in basically easier than just about everyone else on that line, right? Given his experience, given he's played in the system, and given that he's getting significant reps right now. The fact that here we are, 17 days out with an offensive line set, a scheme set, I'm happy with this. I think this gives you all the time you will need to get yourself ready, to get all the reps possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's significant because now you can work on other run game concepts. Yeah, we'll throw those comments in just a second. You can work on other run game concepts, and you can really, as you said, execute this gap scheme that is pretty much your bread and butter in the run game. And I think it's really significant. Now, was Ryan Grubb just kind of giving the giving the good news, giving the people what they want to hear a little bit yesterday? Maybe. Certainly this clip that we'll play in a little while is going to kind of affirm what Ryan Grubb was saying about the running game. But really, I think that the offense, you were in a work in progress mode last week. I think you're still there, but I think that work has made progress over the weekend. And I think Thursday scrimmage, for as much as we made of last week's scrimmage, I think Thursday scrimmage is going to be huge to determine a lot of these spots. All right, let's turn our attention to the Facebook comment section. Everett, we've missed seeing you in the Facebooks. I appreciate you, brother. Everett's got a great comment for Theo. Theo, since you think the team is great so far, since you think the team is great, how far do you think they will go? And then he followed, I still want that green cup. Theo, or Everett, if Alabama wins a national title, you can have this green cup, but I have a little bad news. I busted the little lid that keeps it closed. So, yeah, I've got the lid on it, but it's just got this little opening. I don't have the little stopper there. So, sorry, you can still have it if Bama wins the title. Theo, is Bama going to win the title?
All right. I think great is a little bit of a stretch, and I want to make sure that everyone understands where I'm at with this team. This Alabama football team is not great. When you think of a great Alabama football team, you saw great for the whole entirety of the 2010s, right? That is a great college football team. There are not a lot of great college football teams left in the sport. Indiana last year, that was a great college football team. Undefeated. They held up. They did what they needed to do. That's what a great team does. How many other teams fell into that category last season? You look at the amount of parity in the sport and how balanced things are, and the fact that you got teams with the 1-2 losses making the college football playoff. The word great is not a word I'm going to use to describe many college football teams this season. And Alabama certainly is not one of them. What Alabama is a talented team that has the ability to play great football at times, but likely will struggle numerous times across the season and has the potential, I think, to be very good. How far do I think Alabama is going to go? Well, I think Alabama is likely going to bow out in the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. I think you win one game and then end where you do last year, just hopefully for the sake of this fan base, not in the same fashion as last season.
Well, Alabama fans would be, heartbroken for sure, but would feel much better about a 1-point loss, kicked, field goal as time expires, breaks your heart, loss. It's like, okay, at least you were in it. You didn't get your doors blown off in like the first 10 minutes of the game. So
you say field goal, they make the field goal or Bama misses the field goal?
Oh, they make you. Let's say that, because I don't want to put that bad juju on any of Alabama's kickers. Theo, yesterday we talked about winners and losers, and we used Hunter DeCiver's article for BamaCentral.com. You can still read that if you'd like to. We'd encourage you to do that and check out his perspective. But I thought we'd take his theme and individualize it and really personalize it with our own list. I got 3 or 4 winners, and I've got 2 losers that were hard to come up with. I don't like putting these 2 guys as losers. I'll talk about that more when it comes to that segment. But this wasn't that easy. It wasn't too challenging to come up with a bunch of winners, but to call some folks losers when we're barely seeing practice so far, I don't know. It was a little challenging, Theo. Are you ready to get into winners and losers?
I am.
He said, Everett says, Theo, be expecting a voicemail later. Yep, Everett, feel free to call. And anybody, feel free to call on the voicemail machine, 205-462-7340, extension 800. If you disagree with Theo's perspective or my perspective, feel free to disagree with anything that we have said at any time or bring up your own topic. All right, so winners and losers, Alabama football fall camp style. Why don't we start with the good side? Hold on, let me make sure my sounder is ready to go. Is not that sound.
You need length and girth in this league.
Not that sound either.
Off the weed.
No, not that sound.
Tag Ovalia.
Wrong sound.
Hey everybody, happy June.
No.
Belichick.
I don't think that's the right sound either.
Oh, how I miss you.
Oh, there, that's what I was looking for. Oh, we found it. All my buttons are out of order right now. So, okay, here we go. Winners. You mind if I just throw one out there and start this thing, Theo? My first winner I want to use is inside linebacker Luke Metz. I think Luke Metz has taken that inside linebacker 2 role, the stinger role, and made it his own. I think that QB Reese and Caden Jones are sitting there right off the bench, ready to come in and contribute alongside Caleb Woodson. But really, I think that for the majority of the start of the season, at least, and the majority of the high leverage snaps, you're going to see Caleb Woodson and Luke Metz as your 2 inside linebackers. Luke Metz got a nice little shout out from Kalen DeBoer last Thursday, and everything that I've heard from people that are around the program is that he is. I use the word missile, and it's exactly that: sideline to sideline, full physicality, full board, running 12 out of 10 speed all the time. Hair on his fire style. I think Luke Metz has really asserted himself as one of the starting 11 defenders, and is really asserting himself as somebody that the coaching staff has a lot of juice about, a lot of excitement about. So I think Luke Metz over these couple of weeks of fall camp has turned himself into one of the biggest winners on Alabama's football team.
All right, so now I'm just going to go right into a winner. We'll just go 1-1, alternate. Okay, I'm going to go, I know you have him too, but it is a pretty obvious winner. Mal Waldrop. Did any of us expect Mal Waldrop to be the front runner to start on this offensive line? I did not. I really didn't at all, Joe. And He's seemingly done everything right, just had a great camp, took advantage of, injury to William Sanders, and just like he deserves this. He deserves the position he's about to be in to get opportunities to start. And look, we don't know how long he's going to start for. He could struggle and be out of that role pretty quickly. He could end up excelling and becoming a cornerstone of this Alabama offensive line. Regardless, to call it anything besides a win would be a disservice to what he's done this summer.
Yep. I also had Mal Waldrop on my list, so I'll just give my little spiel on him. I think you're exactly right that he has just taken advantage of all the opportunities he's been given. Now, it sort of sounds like Will Sanders is still pushing for that role, and so Mal may not keep that role full time, but I think what he has done in the spring, summer, and early fall has – I don't want to speak for the coaching staff and say that he has made them kind of change their perspective on him, because they know him best and they've known what he's capable of for sure. But I think that he has at least made them feel comfortable about, well, if Will doesn't win this job, we've got a real good option. We've got somebody that we like, somebody that's shown that he can do the job, somebody that has shown that he's trustworthy. So I think that he has acquitted himself extremely well over these 8 months. And definitely think that he is a winner right now where we stand in fall camp. Next one for me. Oh man, this is the lowest of the lowest hanging fruit that we have, but I am going Trayshawn Brown. Trayshawn Brown, his fruit is on the floor, so we're picking it right up off the floor. But with the injuries to A.K. Deere and the uncertainty to E.J. Crowell, it sounds like Trayshawn Brown has also taken advantage of all his opportunities from the spring and played well in the summer, worked out well in the summer and participated with a good attitude in the summer. And now that he's in the fall, it sounds like every time he gets touches in live action, he's making something happen with the football, pressing the hole. Yesterday, Coach Grubb talked about his ability to feel the blindside defender and make it cut to avoid them. And that's just really an inherent running back. You either have that or you don't, kind of sixth sense. And so I'm excited to see what Trayshawn Brown brings to this team. And I think you should fully expect him to take 5 to 7 touches a game early in these in these first several weeks of the season. I'm not going to sit here and say he's a 20 touch a game type of guy, but I think you should expect him to take 4 to 6 carries and catch 1 to 3 passes out of the backfield as an ancillary running back. And for a 3-star running back who was barely getting scholarship offers from Power 4 schools in December, to sign with Alabama in December, to ingratiate himself in the program, and to carve out a role in your first year where you're getting 5 to 7 touches in the early part of the season, I think that is about as big as a winner as you can have when you're talking about winners in fall camp. Trayshawn Brown.
I absolutely agree with that pick, but I'm going to go another running back in the room. I'm going to go with Kevin Riley. And my reason for that is that, frankly, I did not expect Kevin Riley to be getting significant action this year. He got the injuries, right? He has the injuries in the room that will allow him to get on the field. Right now, if the season started today, he would be the second back on the field. You have an opportunity to go make something of it. And look, last year, Kevin Riley had a few nice moments, a couple solid runs for this football team. I think he ended up at 59 carries, 224 yards on the season. Most of that production coming early on. Look, you got to recognize it for what it is, right? With him at this stage of his career, he's going to have 2 years of eligibility left after this year, right? The outlook on those 2 years, had the running back room stayed healthy and he had not really seen the field all that much, probably pretty different than him, potentially getting some snaps, getting to continue to prove himself. Obviously, if he really exceeds expectations, he could stay on the field in a significant role full time. But just no matter how you slice it, this is a big win for a guy who is going to see a lot more action than he thought he would. Now it comes down to, can you make the most of it? Can you do enough to put good tape where another program wants you, or Alabama decides it wants to make you a key player next year? you have a chance. Go do something with it, Kevin Riley.
Kevin Riley, I like that pick. I definitely like that pick. My last winner, Theo, is going into the secondary is Ivan Taylor. I think we spent some time with Ivan Taylor at media days, and I walked away from my time with Ivan Taylor getting shades of Tony Brown vibes. Do you remember Tony Brown, Theo? Dabo lied on us. Okay, so I didn't get shades that Ivan Taylor was crazy. I'm sorry. That wasn't really what it was. The shades that I was getting was, watch it. You can see it on the Bama Central YouTube channel. You can see it right now. What I saw, the intensity behind Ivan Taylor's eyes looked like, hey, man, if you make a wrong move right now, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to fight you. And like, I wasn't like, that wasn't really the vibe of like, oh, he's going to fight me right now. But it was just kind of this deep intensity, this just hyper focused that Tony Brown kind of had. I was getting the same vibes from Ivan Taylor. Now, carry that into last Thursday's scrimmage, and it seems like Ivan Taylor is really pushing, Keon Sabb is really pushing some of these safeties for, hey, buddy, if you're not playing well, I'm ready to take your spot. I think Ivan Taylor, it looks like the first defensive back off the bench right now is kind of what I have assessed, and we kind of spent a lot of the summer wondering how the backups would kind of fit into the secondary. I think Ivan Taylor has proven himself. I think he's worked his tail off over the spring and summer, and he's just got this look on it about him that, oh, you're not keeping me off the field. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to hurt somebody. I think Ivan Taylor, you should expect to see a lot of him this year, and so I think that he is one of the biggest winners in fall camp so far.
I like it. My third and final winner is going to be the big receiving targets on this football team, and this is something that I wrote about yesterday. Ryan Grubb was asked about it, and he was asked about the big receivers, and I extended it into the tight ends. I think all these guys are going to eat this year, Joe. I think you look at Sedarian Morgan, Derek Meadows, Caleb Edwards, Marshall Pritchett, starting with those four. I think you're going to see impressive numbers from all four of those guys. I think there'll be a little bit of room for Danny Lewis, if he's healthy, and Josh Ford to dip their toes in the water a little bit. It seems to me like these QBs love all those big guys. And we can go all the way back to 8A, right? When your leading receiver, Derek Meadows, 76 yards. Second, Sedarian Morgan, 69 yards. Each of them caught a touchdown as well. Just seems like, yeah, these QBs love these guys. These QBs want to give them chances. I've been high on Derek Meadows, Hakeem Butler for a while. I remain bullish on him at this point, and I think we're going to look back and be very impressed. And, of course, if you haven't been paying attention, 75 receptions from the tight ends this season.
I think that you're more on track today than I thought you were last week when you said that. So we'll see how that all plays out with these big-bodied receivers. And look, if you have issues in the receiving room with injuries, I mean, obviously Noah Rodgers is out right now, and I think Lottie Brooks is back healthy and participating. But if someone, that second receiver goes down, then yeah, you're going to be throwing Marshall Pritchett out there and Caleb Edwards out there to try to, and Danny Lewis to hey guys, y'all need to pick up some slack on some receptions.
Joe, let me go first on my first loser because you just shoehorned right into it. My first loser is going to be Noah Rodgers, and that is going to be because I think that the receiver room, the continuity, the consistency is just there. And I think we underestimated how hard it's going to be for Noah Rodgers to simply just come back and get himself right into the flow of things, right? I think he's a very talented player. I think he had the makings of someone who's going to contribute pretty significantly to this football team. But you're missing it's hard to undersell how valuable these reps with these QBs at this time are, right? You're going to plug this guy in, and he's very talented, but as we have guys like Derek Meadows, like Sedarian Morgan stepping up, getting involved in the passing game early, is there going to be room for Noah Rodgers to get in? What will his production look like? I don't know at this point. And I think that one of the trends has been towards probably him not quite having as big of an impact when he does return as we may have thought.
I think that's a creative pick. I think that's good because I had a hard time with these losers because I don't really think that anybody's doing bad. Now, obviously, when you have winners, you obviously have to have a loser. So that's going to take me into my first pick, and my first pick is running back Daniel Hill. I think the coaching staff likes Daniel Hill, and look, I want to make it clear: Daniel Hill's going to play, and Daniel Hill's probably going to start at this point. He's probably still going to start at this point. But if you had every running back healthy right now, I don't think that you could convince me that the real running back depth chart order is not A.K. Deere, E.J. Crowell, then Daniel Hill, Trayshawn Brown, and Kevin Riley, all kind of in a conglomerate. And, of course, Khalifa Keefe right after that. I think, obviously, Daniel Hill has the most experience of all the running backs right there. I mean, Kevin Riley been in the system a year longer. Are they both juniors? Yeah. They're both the same class, I believe.
No, I think Daniel Hill got in
a year earlier. Either way, he's one of the more experienced running backs in the room, so he is going to play a lot. But I think that if the A.K. Deere had not been hurt, then A.K. was passing him on the depth chart, and I don't really know exactly where E.J. is going to fall and fit into right now. Maybe he is the starting running back when he's healthy. I think that there's absolutely a possibility of that, but I think there's a possibility that he's also fourth on the depth chart. The coaches have been very, very coy, have been very, very, we don't know. I asked Ryan Grubb yesterday about what the expectation is for EJ given the time that he's missed. And he's saying, well, we don't really know. We think he's going to be a good player. And I think he was probably being pretty political as to not put expectations on freshman 5-star who's missed time in practice. But all these pieces tell me that, not that because look, Ryan Grubb was really complimentary of Daniel Hill and said how mature he's been, how much weight he's lost, and reshaped his body. But it just seems like all the nice things that they say about Daniel Hill, well, you still saw A.K. Deere basically be the first running back in the scrimmage last week. And you still have all this hype around E.J. Crowell. And everybody, well, look at this freshman Trayshawn Brown. He's turning heads. And it's kind of like, are we forgetting about Daniel Hill? Is he not making a big impact? Is he not turning heads? I think Daniel Hill is a fine running back. Fine. I don't think that he is elite by any means. I'd like to see him run behind his pads a little better. I think he got better at that towards the end of the year. I'd like to see him have a bit better vision, running back vision, and kind of see in other holes. But really, with what the running back room, it just feels like, and we still have Daniel Hill. It just doesn't seem like he's a guy that the coaching staff on the field is excited about. They have complimented his off-the-field nature. They've complimented his off-the-field work, his maturity, his approach to his diet, his approach to learning and film study. But so it just doesn't seem like they're as excited about, we can turn around and give the ball to Daniel Hill 15 times a game, I guess. And so for that reason, and the excitement around A.K. Deere, the excitement around Trayshawn Brown and E.J. Crowell kind of leaves me to feel like Daniel Hill is one of the few losers in camp so far.
I think you hit the nail on the head with that take. I agree with just about everything you said. My second loser, and I agree it's hard to pick losers. This one is going to be a somewhat harsh take for a guy that I've been very high on for a long time. I'm going to go with QB Reese. I really, really thought that this was his chance. This felt like he had the inside track to be the clear number 2 inside linebacker, the on the field almost all the time for this football team. And everybody, Deontay Lawson, Tim Keenan, feels like everybody, every veteran on this defense had been singing his praises. And I really liked the little we saw from him in those early games last season, right, when you were throwing him on the field a little bit, ULM, for example, and a little underwhelmed by the fact that he got supplanted by Luke Metz. And I like a lot of what Luke Metz does. I think you were absolutely right to call him a winner of Camp Joe. QB Reese should have been right up there with him. I don't think there should have been any separation between those two, and would be interested to find out exactly why it shaped out this way, but really expecting more out of QB Reese at this stage.
I think that's a good pick. I'm pivoting. You see what I have in the notes, but my second my second loser, and really the last one that I'm going to talk about right here. I think I'm going to go with Xavier Mincy on the defensive backfield, because I think Xavier, I mean, he's been in the system for as long as Xavier Brown has, and you are as highly rated as Xavier Brown, and seems like you're getting passed over by Ivan Taylor and by Jaira Edwards, and Red Morgan already had one of these spots, and so I don't really know where Xavier Mincy fits. Obviously, he played a lot of sub linebacker last year in dime packages and in big passing situations. I do think he's going to get on the field, but I think his opportunity to be, this is one of the core defensive back guys, seems to be evaporating, and that's really kind of disappointing to see, given his length and frame and time in the system. His size is prototypical Kane Womack defensive back, and so I'm going to go Xavier Mincy as one of the losers because of what Ivan Taylor and Red Morgan and Jaira Edwards have done in that little group, taking on more playing time.
I really like that pick, and that's not a name I'd even been thinking about, which really speaks to the whole situation there. I was surprised that he didn't enter the portal, Joe, and the fact that he didn't really made me think that there was something coming for him this year. So I like it a lot. My third and final loser is going to be the entire offensive line. Not for anything that they've done. I think we talked earlier about it's good. They've got their scheme set. They're building consistency. They're doing what they need to do. Now, I think it is a flawed unit. Absolutely. But they're making the most of it. What is not going in their favor is the fact that I'm looking at this situation and seeing like, oh man, these guys are going to be hung out to dry. You look at this running back situation, already starting out behind, already a group that is not going to be that good. We are completely setting up for this offensive line to be a total scapegoat for and whatever struggles they do have, and there will be struggles, whatever struggles they have are going to be amplified so much by the fact that there's not a great run game around them to begin with, by the fact that, look, either of these QBs, either of these inexperienced QBs who inevitably makes mistakes, and Ryan Grubb talked yesterday about the QBs' communication with the line needing to be better. What's that communication going to look like when you're on the road in Knoxville? What's that communication going to look like in your first SEC home game against South Carolina, when you're trying to get things figured out and you're dealing with one of the best rushers on the other end, and that gets in your head? I just really think that this offensive line is not going to be helped out all that much by the guys around them. I think they're starting in a bad position, and I can already see the comments. I can already see the discourse around like, oh, Jackson Lloyd gets beat for a sack. And you guys remember how certain tackles in this program have been talked about, right? After bad moments. Like, it is just setting up so poorly for these guys. I almost feel bad already just in anticipation of what the reaction is going to be.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick because, the first 1 yard rush, the first negative 2 yard rush, the first time that Keelan Ralston get pressured or sacked, the first time that the first time the offensive line doesn't pass off a stunt correctly and you get a free rusher in there, it's going to be, I thought Adrian Clem was fixing this. Of course, Kalen DeBoer couldn't get it right. Ryan Grubb, blah, 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 blah. It's just going to be nasty against the offensive line. And it may not even be their fault all the time. It's going to be heavy scrutiny. And so, Theo, this is a perfect place to bring in the pivot of the show. I only have one more topic to talk about, and it is because is the clip that that Aaron Taylor put out yesterday. Aaron Taylor, former Notre Dame offensive lineman, Super Bowl champion, I believe, as well with the worst team in the world. So he knows what he's doing. He's a Joe Moore Award voter. I think he's very high up on the Joe Moore Award. He spent yesterday watching Alabama football practice, and when he left the facility, he put out this video.
Tuscaloosa for Alabama's fall camp. Now, we all know the talk all offseason is about whether or not Kalen DeBoer can fill Nick Saban's shoes, or who's going to start at quarterback. Well, I'm here to tell you, it's going to be the offensive line that shuts up and ends all that talk. Alabama will be able to run the football this year, full stop. That's the headline. The improvements year over year for what I saw in this unit after just watching them live for 2 hours with my own eyes is night and day. When they got to the second level, they didn't just go up and try to settle into the linebacker. They were running through those boys. When it came to one-on-ones, they dominated that drill. All across the board through the two deep, offensive line using their hands, punching, trusting their technique, and starting the fight. Now the defense, of course, because this is Alabama, they're going to be stout. And they made some plays, but it was noticeable, particularly in the explosive runs right through the heart of the defense. All throughout practice, didn't matter the drill. There were explosive home run hits, and I'm telling you, running back 13, Crowell, that dude can go. See, when it comes to offensive line play, details are the difference. And the new O-line coach, Adrian Clem, if you're a young buck out there, bring your butt to Alabama. Incredible job of coaching. I look at the depth of drill. Do you take 3 steps and stop when you're doing down blocks or double teams or base blocks coming off the ball? No, they were going 5, 6, 7 yards downfield. When you go further downfield in practice, then when it comes to the game, you're going to get the 4 or 5 yards downfield that you need. Clem is an incredible teacher. He was a hell of a player, but the big difference I noticed already through a 2-hour practice from what I saw at any time last year on tape from Alabama was the physicality at the point of attack. Hey, and be sure to check out our 1-hour live special on YouTube on Wednesday, August 26th, where we do a full camp dive. Go through every position and everything I saw in fall camp, including here in Tuscaloosa.
Well, there we go. Aaron Taylor, Joe Moore Award voter. His Twitter bio says team captain for the Joe Moore Award, college football analyst from CBS Sports. Obviously, been in the game for a long time. Theo, he says the offensive line can run the football. He's praising E.J. Crowell. So that was the most interesting piece right there. I guess EJ is back from yesterday's back from his small injury, which he was not apparently participating during the media viewing portion. But Aaron Taylor gets to watch it, and he spoils the surprise that EJ was participating and says the offensive line is physical, says they are blocking through the second level. Do you believe the Joe Moore captain?
Does he know Adrian Clem, or does he know someone on the staff? Did someone call in a favor? He clearly knows his stuff, right? He clearly knows a lot more, miles more about offensive line play than I do and than you do, Joe. But he's saying stuff that nobody covering this team is talking about. It reads like propaganda to me. It is so far outside of, if you want to tell me that this offensive line is going to exceed expectations, sure. I'm open to that. I just posted a video this morning, actually, right before we recorded the show, that the offensive line is going to hold the team back, was basically my thesis of the video. And if you want to convince me that, no, the line won't hold the team back, they'll be at neutral, they'll be above average, you'll have the talent shine through, sure, you can talk me into it. To say the offensive line is going to shut up the talk around the program, to go in and say that the offensive line is going to be a strength of the team, that the offensive line is going to, it's already shutting out the very good Alabama defensive front. Come on. That's too far for me to go right now, Joe.
I listened to that video and I think, who was playing defense?
Yeah.
Who was out there? Was it the walk-ons? Were they mauling the walk-ons, or were they mauling Terrence Green and Devin Tompkins? And if they're mauling Terrence Green and Devin Tompkins, is everything that we've been told about the defensive line a lie? Like it was just like it's so hard for me to parse through when one unit is doing good. Well, does that mean the other unit is bad? Like, obviously, you want a good 50-50 battle while you're playing yourself, but it did sound like propaganda. Now, he talked about things that you're wanting to see, things that you haven't seen from Alabama for a couple of seasons now. Getting into the second level, oh my gosh, the offensive line has been horrific at getting into the second level over the last 2-3 seasons for a while. And he talked about, what did he say? He said, not only just getting into and fitting to the linebackers, but running through. So many times you'd see guys getting into the second level and they just patty cake, try to get in the linebacker's way, make sure that they don't overrun the play, be a little too careful, make sure they're taking good angles. Instead of saying, I'm going to run right through a face, and so, yeah, it's encouraging to hear, but like in his pedigree, I'm not going to sit here and say he doesn't know what he's talking about. Obviously, more experience in the game than both of us combined, but still I find myself skeptical. Still I find myself, I need to see it against East Carolina and then Kentucky and then Florida State and then South Carolina, and I'm still not going to believe it until I see it against Georgia. Like, it's just like, what do we – sounds nice. It sounds fun. It sounds encouraging, but I just cannot get there and say definitively he's right. The offensive line, Jackson Lloyd, gonna be the best left tackle in the SEC. Michael Carroll, best interior offensive lineman in the SEC. This group can drive defenses off the ball. I think that I'd be lying to myself. I mean, I could say that. I could, but like, I would hit end on this podcast and think, I don't believe that. And so I don't know, like, great to hear, but I'm still in a skeptical camp, Theo.
You just can't convince me that Alabama has both a good offensive line and a good defensive line. I'm not falling for it until I see it. That's where I'm at.
All right, last little piece with his clip. What did you make of the EJ stuff? Because, I mean, he is saying everything that we've heard about EJ when he plays. Oh, guy's different. Guy's good. He obviously, I don't want to speak for him, but I don't know if he's aware of his kind of injury status in the spring and fall. He may be. He absolutely may be. But he didn't really address that in the clip. And so, like, Theo, if that's what he's saying that he saw yesterday's practice, and we talked during yesterday's show that this week was big for EJ to show that, he's healthy, he can play. You need to get me into the lineup. Should we be readjusting everything that we said about Trayshawn Brown, everything that we said about Kevin Riley, Daniel Hill? Should we be readjusting? Is he going to play a prominent role against East Carolina?
Thursday is still our barometer. It comes down to, as we've said this week, is EJ going to be out there scrimmaging on Thursday? Certainly sounds like he will be, right, if we're taking that video at face value. And like we said, he was not available for the media segment of practice, but obviously he was out there doing stuff per the video earlier in the day or later after we left. If EJ is out there on Thursday, has a good scrimmage, and shows, like, gets into the flow of things, there's no reason for him not to see the field. But I will push back based off of what we heard Ryan Grubb say, because it really it felt like a non-committed answer when Ryan Grubb was talking about EJ. I'll let you take over, Jim.
No, I mean, it felt like he was telling the Alabama fan base, hey, guys, just slow your roll. Ask about a health update, and his initial was, just dealing with some stuff. He's going to be fine. Not season ending. It's probably going to be available for the first week. And then so I felt like I had to ask again, like, okay, so what does that mean? What do we expect from him? What can you expect from him? And he goes, well, we don't know. We don't know. Let me see if I have the quote right here. Bama transcripts, because we've got it in our transcripts. Let's see. I think it's part 2 is when I asked about that. No, I asked about it was part 1 right here. So EJ's health. EJ's doing good. Sooner than later, he'll be back. Definitely not season ending. Fully expect him to be ready for the first football game. And then I asked, well, what does that mean? What's he expected to contribute? And he said, quote, we don't know. I mean, to be honest, we don't know. I mean, he's a really tough kid. That's all I've seen from him. And he absolutely loves football. He's been an all-in kind of guy. Just super impressed with him. So I'm very optimistic that we're going to be able to play and have him out there. That was basically like, don't count on it.
And when Ryan Grubb is excited about somebody, you know, right? Like, you don't talk that way about someone who you have a level of confidence in contributing really highly this year, in my opinion. So when he says he doesn't know, I completely take that at face value. I completely think, yeah, this team, they don't know what they're getting out of this guy. And you need to learn really, really fast. If Kalen DeBoer on Thursday, after Alabama's second scrimmage, says anything along the lines of, yeah, EJ wasn't very involved, or really doesn't have praises of EJ Crowell to sing, I'm officially, closing the book a little bit on him this year.
Yeah, so it's going to be a huge week for him. I'm still in that camp that it is a huge week for him. And so we'll see how much he participates, and really on Thursday, what kind of impact he can have on the scrimmage, because I think he will have to have an impact. I think Theo and I are seeing reading from the same playbook. I think he's going to have an impact on Thursday's scrimmage in order to have an impact against East Carolina. He still may not start against East Carolina, but if he has an impact on Thursday's scrimmage, then I think he's going to have 9 to 12 touches against East Carolina. 9 to 12. If he plays a decent amount on this Thursday, and then stays healthy over the 2 weeks, then I think he will have 9 to 12 touches against East Carolina.
I think that's a very fair place to leave it.
All right. So let's get out of here for the day.
Oh, we've got you want to hit the comment we have? Real quick?
Oh, yeah, please. Yes, thank you. Please.
We've got Steven. Appreciate it. Joining in on the comments. How surprised are you that Waldrop seems to have taken the other guard position? Very surprised. Very, very surprised. You know how much this staff loves William Sanders, and they still do. It really does seem like they're still trying to give him every opportunity to get his starting job. But I think me and Joe both kind of thought, not to speak for you, Joe, but that William Sanders was going to be the guy, right? And if he wasn't going to be the guy, for me personally at least, I was expecting Ethan Fields, right? I was expecting maybe one of the Michigan guys to have had a really good camp, and that's why William Sanders isn't starting. I didn't have Mal Waldrop on the radar, and that was definitely a bit of an oversight from me and from just about everyone who wrote him off, because he's clearly gone out and earned it. So in terms of, might be the biggest and pure surprise out of camp, Mal Waldrop starting. Impressed with it. Yeah,
I am surprised, but Steven, I appreciate the comment. I don't think it's going to last, is where I still am. I think that he's in the pole position, but if William Sanders, because when we asked yesterday, I asked this question framing it like Will was pushing for the spot, that Mal already had the spot. And same thing, because I kind of combined left guard and right tackle. I said, what is Will Sanders and Nick Brooks, what do they have to do to push Mal Waldrop and Javen James' spot? And he immediately flipped and talked about what Mal needed to do and what Nick Brooks needed to do. So I think he's starting right now, but I wonder if it's just a placeholder because we haven't seen enough healthy William Sanders. And so I am surprised for sure. I don't really think it's going to last. Now, I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong, and that could just be pie on my face or egg on my face, right? But yeah, that's where I'm standing, Stephen. I appreciate the comment. I am surprised, but I don't know that it's going to last all season long. Maybe it's just a first couple of games and Will Sanders gets up to speed and takes that job. But hey, Mal may just say, this is mine, buddy. You can't have it. So we'll see. And then Jeremy Scott, again, we appreciate your comment. Always chiming in. Roll Tide with your comments and hitting like on the Facebook page. Appreciate that a lot. It means a lot to me, and it helps grow the algorithm of the show.
And it's great to have Everett back in the mix. We've missed seeing you in the comments, and definitely leave a voicemail, Everett, because I know you were angry hearing me talk about my expectations for Alabama football. Go ahead, let me hear it.
205-462-7340, extension 800. If you want to leave a voicemail, we would love to take your voicemail on any topic that you have. Alabama football, basketball, baseball. Doesn't absolutely have to be Alabama related. Just leave us a comment right there on the voicemail machine. And we're going to have a lot of fun. Tomorrow, we'll be back, and better than ever, on a Wednesday, ready to talk more Alabama sports. We're talking to Kane Womack right at noon. So defensive questions. And so tomorrow's show will probably circulate around the defensive side of the football based on what he has to say. So, Theo, appreciate your time. Good to see you today. I'll see you over at the facility in just a little bit, and we will talk to the people tomorrow right here on Bama Central, BamaCentral.com.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.